Quite frankly, I think the number one biggest issue that we are going to see in this legislative session is the expansion of Medicaid. Now, the governor of the state of Colorado is proposing an expansion of our Medicaid system to include 160,000 new Medicaid recipients in the state of Colorado. And I think Representative Levy is going to tell you, but those aren't Colorado dollars. We're not going to spend Colorado dollars to affect those 160,000 new recipients on the Medicaid rolls. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, that money's got to come from somewhere. For the first couple of years, it's going to come from the federal government. That's Colorado dollars too. And then eventually it is going to come from the state. How are we going to keep Colorado's government sustainable by expanding the Medicaid population? I mean, Medicaid, just in my time in the legislature, has gone from being 20% of the budget to now being around 25% of the budget. And that's going to continue to expand. How do you turn that back? You don't. And what's the answer? Unless you're willing to cut something else, the only answer is going to be a tax increase.
But I think, like Representative Waller said, our greatest concern is this incredible growth in Medicaid. In Medicaid, and I'll share a little bit, I'm not going to go back, and I'll just say, you want to know what it looks like to spend $20 billion? That's why I brought this. It's not just a check, it's a lot of checks, right? And this is the appropriations report. By the way, this is part of Representative Levy's work. This is the hundreds of pages of what it takes to spend $20 billion in Colorado. Medicaid recipients are up 136%. 136%. No new funding sources. And what that means is Medicaid money has to come from other money. And I think one of the things that's just certainly a disconnect when you talk about expanding this program is Medicaid was the safety net. Medicaid was that we're going to help people that can't help themselves for a short time to make sure they weren't covered. But that's no longer the goal of Medicaid. Medicaid is now becoming embedded in middle class America. And Medicaid is now competing with other insurance in the marketplace.
We're not talking about what anybody would consider middle class. What we are talking about is 160,000 people who otherwise would not have any source of health care other than the emergency room when they become so sick that they have to see a doctor. You know, we're fortunate that in these early years the federal government is picking up 100% of the cost of this expansion, and then after the first 3 years it'll go down to 92% of that expansion. But I would think, as a matter of compassion for our fellow Coloradans who aren't doing very well economically, we would want to be sure that they have the ability to see a doctor when they need to. Representative Waller, I think, was kind of scaring you a little bit with the prospect that we were going to pay for this expansion through tax increases. Well, you all know, because I'm sure you're students of the Colorado Constitution, that there won't be a tax increase in this state unless you, the people, vote on it. You have to approve that tax increase. You have to approve any new tax or increase in tax that we have in Colorado.